So I'd like to welcome our guest speaker today, Paul Jones. Paul Jones is a university representative for the University of Roehampton London online programme. So welcome, Paul, and if you could tell us a little bit about your role as a university representative.
Yes, good afternoon, Pearl. Nice to be back again, I must say, and hello to all our listeners out there in the big wide world. My name is Paul Jones, and I'm a field representative for the University of Roehampton. And what that actually means is I get to travel to various locations throughout the world, Middle East, Africa, United States, Europe, Asia, etc. And I deliver a 1-hour presentation live to live in front of the prospective students, and I explain to them all aspects of the online environment, what you can expect, information about Roehampton, the way the format works. And it's a brief 1-hour explanation because a follow-up what is done after my presentation is each and every person will be contacted by what's called an enrollment advisor, who is there particular for you to go into deeper detail and deeper content of the programme of your choice and to help you along the road should you want to apply and hopefully become one of the students for Roehampton University.
Thanks, Paul. And where will you be visiting next for Roehampton?
The next one for Roehampton is in 2 weeks' time in Saudi Arabia, and then 1 week after that I'm going to be in London, followed by Muscat in Oman, and then Kuwait. That's just for the August period for myself. So if anyone's around those places and would like to come and meet me and meet some other prospective students interested in Roehampton, you're more than welcome. And by visiting our website, you'll be able to find information as to where we're going to be conducting these sessions live.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so for those of you listening, what are we going to cover today? So we're going to talk a little bit about Roehampton in terms of who is Roehampton University, the Laureate Partnership, and also how do you actually study online with Roehampton. This is one of the exciting parts of the Roehampton University online program, so we'll talk about that in detail. And then we'll talk you through some next steps. Now, we really want to make sure that the questions that you have are answered today. So any questions that you have, just pop them in the Q&A box and we'll make sure we make some time for them at the end. Okay, so to start off with, Paul, can you tell us a little bit about Roehampton and its history of delivering campus education in the UK?
Yes, I'm just looking at this slide, and I'm sure all our viewers are looking at this slide. What a beautiful campus that looks. Looks like a massive white stately home. Very, very nice in the heart and centre of London. And this university was actually formed in 1841. So a lot of history gone into Roehampton here. Quite amazing indeed, I must say. And very proud of the history because there's 4 historic colleges on the campus grounds there. They're quickly called Whitelands College, Southlands College, Digby Stewart College and Frugal College. So just a little bit of history there for everyone, of course. And in actually 1841, they became the only first institution to offer education to women, and the online programs were actually launched in 2012, which was a continuation of the legacy of increasing the ability for people to learn and also to make education more affordable for everyone all over the world, because a lot of the students are very international as well, coming from all different countries. 30,000 alumni actually worldwide, and it's home to more than 10,000 students from over 140 countries, which is just on the campus. Also, Roehampton take a very supportive role towards their students, helping them through their learning experience and receiving ongoing contact with their faculty, experts in their field, and also professional networking. They're also very diverse. They believe in offering education delivered by really highly qualified teachers and practitioners that enable individuals to actually achieve their professional goals, and very career-focused. The course content, literature, learning platform have all been designed to help the students establish themselves as experts in their chosen careers. So that's just a little bit of history about the university itself, Pearl.
Thank you. And as you say, it's a very beautiful campus. So any of our online students who do study online and graduate, then you will actually get to visit the campus itself and see it in its real beauty in real life. Okay, so moving forward, accreditation is a big question for a lot of people considering online education. So can you tell us about the quality assurance that goes into the online programs?
Yes, of course. It's very simple to explain accreditation, but vitally important, especially if you're thinking or considering going to any school in the world. First thing you should actually do and research is the school accredited by the Ministry of Education in the country of origin? Now, in the United Kingdom, in order to have that title university after your name, whether it's Manchester University, Roehampton University or Liverpool University, to have that university status, you have to be accredited. And the way it works in the UK is quite simple. The Ministry of Education assign an agency called the QAA, the Quality Assurance Agency. They are assigned to visit every university in the United Kingdom and to do thorough checks on the quality of education, the faculty, the staff, absolutely everything from A to Z. The school's finances, and they check that the school is capable of delivering high quality education that must be met by the Ministry of Education. So the QAA, since the 1800s, have been visiting universities throughout the UK every number of years. Well, actually, not in the 1800s because the QAA wasn't formed then. It was then called the Royal Charter, which was passed on to the QAA. And they report back to the Ministry of Education, and they basically say, Roehampton University has been tested, it's been looked at, and we're accrediting it for the next 3 to 4 years. And that's how the accreditation system works. But bear in mind, there's hundreds of accreditations out there on the market. Be very careful that you make sure it is the accreditation from the Ministry of Education. That way you know you're on the right path to a reputable school.
Yeah, absolutely. And these accreditations translate to the online programs as well. It's not just for campus programs.
Most definitely indeed. There's no difference between the campus school accreditation and the online accreditation. Once it's met the accreditation, that tells you that the quality is, well, not identical, but it's absolutely the same level, the same quality as the campus school. The only difference is the way you're studying. Rather than sitting in a traffic jam going to school every morning, people get out of bed, switch on their computer, and everything's within their screen. So the world is changing, and technology is changing as we know, and so is education. The amount of schools now offering education online is quite phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. And we're going to talk a little bit about the online learning with Roehampton as we go on, which is a very exciting part of the Roehampton experience. But just before we do so, can you tell us about this partnership with Laureate, and who is Laureate, and when, how does this partnership work with Roehampton?
Yeah.
Laureate.
Well, Laureate Online Education is an American company that provide online education, basically what it says. But they're a little bit bigger than just providing online education. Not only have they been doing this for 44 years, but they have a number of campus schools throughout the world as well, over 65 to be precise. So they really are the forerunners in technology on how to deliver online education. Now, Roehampton University, a number of years ago, they've seen the way the world was changing with education becoming more web-based, and wanting to appeal to the more professional working adult, they decided that they wanted to create business programs, health programs, and a number of programs that they would like to put online and to deliver to the population throughout the world at an affordable price for everybody. So they looked around for a company who could help them do this, and they came across Laureate Online Education that's also partners with other schools in the UK and America. And the partnership was formed, and in 2012 they started their first online business management programs online. And since 2012, I'm pleasantly surprised to see the growth, which is quite phenomenal, from 1 or 2 programs to 11 programs today, and even growing as we speak, I believe. And that's the connection with Laureate Online Education.
Great, thank you, Paul. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about the programs that we offer with Roehampton as we go on as well, so you can have a flavour of what we offer in online programs. But before we do so, can you tell us more about who actually teaches these programs? Is there a real-life teaching instructor within these online classrooms?
No, there's no actual live seminars that you will see. There will be videos embedded, etc., but your whole work is pre-prepared for you, be it in the form of embedded videos, written lectures, assignments, and we'll be discussing that through this presentation, no doubt. But the faculty that we have are all highly trained. They have 18 years of professional experience in their chosen field. On average, the average age is around 48, with around 12 years of teaching experience. As you can see from this slide, the ratio 69% male and 31% female. And also these faculty members are not all based in Roehampton University, but they're also spread around the world, where they deliver their teachings and giving their feedback, assignments and marking of all the work that is provided by the students. So a lot of interaction going on and a lot of support indeed from our dedicated staff of faculty. And they're there to help you succeed at the end of the day, which is the goal, I presume.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so how do online students actually interact with their online faculty?
Well, you will actually go in, if you actually need to contact your online faculty inside the classroom, which is called InspireNet, there will be links there where you can, what's called, submit a ticket to your faculty member with a question, and he will reply back to you once he's received the ticket, of course. And that's more of a one-to-one direct line. But there's also open chat areas, like blog pages and threads and postings, I should say, where there will be messages left and received. I always like to say you have your own private emails where you're communicating with the other students in the class, and it's very interactive the way it's done. And what's nice to know, Pearl, is that before anyone starts studying online, we give them what's called an orientation course, where we help them navigate around the classroom, and they actually have an advisor with them during their first part of their first module, which is reassuring. As many people can be a bit apprehensive doing online study for the first time. So we're there to support and help at every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so going forward, we've talked a little bit about our faculty there who actually teach in the program, but what kind of students are attracted to Roehampton online programs? Who is actually studying these programs right now?
Wow, that's a very open question because we have students from all backgrounds, all diversities. The average age of the students is 38 years of age, and that tells you that you're entering a classroom with people with work experience. And this is quite important, especially with any kind of study, because sharing amongst each other is a great asset. And our students are coming from all countries, more than 106 countries. And everything from people from working in factories, shops, all the way up until CEO, vice presidents of companies. We have airline pilots, we have doctors, nurses, all kinds of people. The list can go on. And I always say to prospective students, have a chat with the advisor when they call you next week. And you can always ask to be put in touch with a student. You can ask, what's the flavour of the student's background, careers, etc. And all this information is actually held with them as well.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Okay, so programs. So in terms of the programs that we offer online, as you said, there's new programs coming out all the time, which is very exciting. But can you give an overview of the programs that are currently on offer?
Yes, I'll list the programs quickly, and you're quite right, programs are coming out all the time, and sometimes it's difficult to keep up with how fast these programs are coming out. But let's start with the management programs, what we have to offer. And these programs are all on the website as well, where there'll be more information. But in management, we have the usual Master of Business Administration. Very popular, and no doubt it remains popular. Master in Science and Project Management, which I'm seeing many, many people around the world show a big interest in these. And then what's really upcoming are our IT programs. Master of Science in Information Systems Management. Again, IT really is changing the way we do things. And then with the international people travelling much more, we have a Master of Science in Strategic Human Resource Management, which is very useful with different internationalities in companies. So human resources are a very important position in today's society. And then supply chain management, a Master of Science in there. So these are the 5 management programs we have to offer. When we come into the health program, we just have one at the moment, which is a Master of Public Health. So we're seeing many people in the health profession, hospitals, NGO companies looking at these programs. And education, relatively new programs. We have an MA in Learning and Teaching, MA in Educational Leadership, and an MA in Inclusive Special Education. And amazing how many people are actually looking at the education, and also an MA in Technology and Learning and Design. These are becoming more and more popular, I must say. And the final program is a social science area where we offer a Master of Public Administration. So lots of programs, well, 11 programs to choose from there, but I do say keep your eye on the website because programs are coming thick and fast. And into the new year, we are looking of adding more programs to our portfolio already.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. And actually, the great question from our listeners already, from Mercy, who was saying she quite a task ahead. She wants to double up on the masters, and she was wondering, is it possible to do an MBA and an MSc in management at the same time? And I mean, obviously, that's a huge task. I mean, a lot of people doing a full-time job already struggle with one master. So, can you tell us, is that possible? Is that advisable?
Okay, I was just looking at the question myself. I just seen double masters, and I thought I've been asked this question many times. My question to the person who wrote the question is, I'd like to know if you actually have a full-time job, because believe you me, online education is no walk in the park. This will take up a lot of your time, and of course there are people out there that have relatively just finished studies or degrees, and they find a way of learning very quick, and they can get through assignments very quick. The way it works with Roehampton is, should you want to be able to double up, you need to have a conversation with the enrolment advisor. It is possible, but there are strict conditions in place. And it's only after a certain period of time that you've been able to prove yourself that you can handle the workload. And so everything is possible, and by all means pose this question to the advisor, and they'll want to know a bit more about your background, your lifestyle, what you do in your spare time, and this is very important things for us to know about. So yes, it is possible, but that conversation needs to take place.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting as well is that she's talking about doing the MBA and the MSc in management, which you've got to make sure you understand what they're offering, which is different as well. And, I would recommend, as Paul said, to speak to your advisors, because they will really be able to kind of hone in on what you're looking for and what you're hoping to get out of it, and advise you on the program that's best for you.
Also, one thing to look at is if you're thinking of a double master's, if it's a Master of Science in Management and an MBA, which is Master of Business Administration, my advice would be to have a nice career chat. You can always think at the very end of your MBA, when you do your dissertation, that you could actually specialise it in management. So there's ways of compensating rather than doubling up. And a good career services chat would really help this person focus with different options to consider whether it's feasible, possible, or whether it's worth doing actually at the end of the day. And I think that's the best advice to give somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Mercy, for the question. I hope you had you found the feedback useful there. We're going to move on, and I see lots of questions coming in, and don't worry, we will get to them. Great to see. But I thought that was a good one for that topic of conversation that we were having. Okay, so, Paul, how do you actually study online with Roehampton?
Well, first of all, Roehampton have looked at the kind of students that want to study online, and obviously over 90% are working professional adults. And we have to take into account that our students have full-time jobs, they have families, they have a social life, they have commitments they've got to meet, and earning a master's degree is very hard. It requires a commitment of your time, your thoughts and your energy. So at the same time, we've designed our programs with you in mind. We have no set lecture times, 24-hour access to a virtual classroom and comprehensive support. And, well, as I'm mentioning, you actually log into the classroom when you want to, and one of the nice things to know is at the end of the module there are actually no exams that you will take because you're being graded on all of the work, the assignments and the projects that you do throughout the course, of course.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And let's go into a little bit more detail, because one of the great things about Roehampton is actually how people are assessed. So you can see here there's individual assignments, shared activities, final projects. Can you tell us how that works and why this is an interesting part?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, the way Roehampton works basically is you will have to complete what are called 7 modules, and each of these modules are actually broken down into what's called learning units. So for each module there will be 6 two-week learning units that you have to actually learn. So each module takes 3 months to complete. Now during these 2 weeks where you have to do your work, you have to do what are called individual assignments, shared activities and a final project. Now the individual assignment is a specific task associated with the learning unit, which is also a component of your final assignment. You're not actually graded on these individual assignments, but they do compensate and contribute towards your final grade, of course. And it's based on your practical and your personal experience, these individual assignments. Then there are what's called shared activities. Well, shared activities are normally a traditional discussion question or a blog or other content that you will need to review, critique and discuss. So you're working in very small teams of people within the classroom. And all of your work that you submit from your shared activities, well, that accounts for 10 to 20% of your final grade. And then there's a final project, of course, that you have to complete. And, well, with the final project, this will be an essay, research paper, a plan, or some other comprehensive project that you have to do. And the final project will account for the majority of your grade, which is 80 to 90%. And you're based, well, you have the opportunity to refine your work, and this will be based on the feedback you will receive from your faculty member. So there'll be aspects of the final project that you require you to develop new material specifically for the final project. And again, 80 to 90% is on your final project. So it's individual assignments, shared activities, and a final project during the 2 weeks of your study.
Great, thanks, Paul. And the types of projects that they're doing, can they apply what they're doing into the workplace or bring kind of real-world problems from their workplace into the classroom?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah, of course. So I was asking about the projects that they're doing, what they're learning in the classroom. Are they able to apply what they're learning into their workplace, or vice versa, take real-world issues that they're dealing with in the workplace into the classroom and try and problem solve?
Well, as they're going through their depending on the program they're doing, of course, as they're going through the content, the idea of the online education is that you take elements of all of your theory and you get to try things in your workplace. And of course, people are bringing issues from their workplace into the classroom. So there is a combination there that is very interactive indeed, where it crosses over within maybe your profession. And of course, during these 2 weeks, of course, you're communicating with other peers in the classroom, other students, and everything you do during your module is all leading up to your final project. So you're covering areas of theory that you're trying out in your workplace, and when you're reporting back to this, it's all leading up to your final learning unit, which is the 6th learning unit of 2 weeks, where you'll be writing your final project, and what you're writing about is everything you've covered during the last 3 months and everything you've tried in your job, what didn't work, what did work. So again, it all combines together like a nice package. So yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so in terms of experience, now the masters that we offer, what are the admission requirements?
Well, as we can see from this slide here, If you have a bachelor's degree and relevant work experience and you meet the criteria by obviously your CV, motivation letter, online application, then you have the possibility of gaining a full admission straight off. However, if a person does not attain a bachelor's degree and sufficient work experience, it is possible after the application process to be given what's called a conditional admission. And what this means is, it means you have to pass your first module in order to be accepted onto a full conditional admission basis. Sorry, a full admission basis. So the UK passed a law a number of years ago that allow people without a bachelor's degree to be accepted on university programs. So for many people in their later years who never had the opportunity of studying early on, it is possible to be admitted once you've got through your first module and become a full admitted student.
Great, Paul. And actually, a question that we had a little bit earlier, and maybe we can just clarify for the person who asked this, was I am from South Africa and wish to study an MBA. I possess a computer science degree and currently have 2 years management experience. Do I qualify, and will it be possible for them to study online with us?
Well, the advisor needs to have a chat with you personally. They need to find out exactly what this computer study was, which university it was attended at, if any certificates were attained, whether you finished the course successfully, whether you didn't finish the course. So there's a lot more information and a lot more questions we need to ask you whether you can be admitted. It's very easy to say yes or no, but we need to find your age, your work experience, what else you've done, in order to make a valued judgment on your case. We take every case on a one-to-one basis, so it's really understanding the person who's applying for the program as to where they're coming from and what it is they've actually done or what they've not done.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And so if you're not sure, just we will make sure that an advisor is assigned to you if you don't have one already, and that they can talk you through that, and they'll request your CV and your transcripts, and they'll be able to advise you based on that. Okay, let's move on. Right, so Paul, in terms of the support, I mean, you've talked a lot about the enrollment advisor that supports the person who's interested in studying online, but what happens after that? What happens once you start a program?
Well, once you've started obviously we start with a personal enrollment advisor, of course. Now, this week or next week, everyone listening to this broadcast will receive a telephone call from your personal enrollment advisor. If you don't have one, there will be one that will be assigned to you because we have your details now through our database, of course. Your advisor is there to provide advice, answer your questions, help you build a strong application by ways of motivation letter, CV, etc., present you to the admission board and to say this is our prospective student we'd like to put forward, and to support you settle into your first module, which I mentioned earlier. And then when you start the program, you're introduced to what's called a student support. And your student support manager will provide you with assistance with any of the non-academic questions or problems that you might encounter. When you need to speak to your student support manager, you can send them a private message or schedule a phone call, and they're there to help you succeed. And then we have the peer interaction, of course. Well, this is through InspireNet, which is the classroom. And this provides the perfect platform for students to connect with another student, network and share ideas, questions and inspiring information as well. So if you have a general question you need answered, post it within one of your groups, even on the mail community wall, and you'll be surprised how quickly you see a response from one student to another. And then we have the technical and finance area, where should you need assistance, you've got a technical question or need help, or you've got a question about your invoice or how to make a payment, you submit a request through InspireNet any time of the day or night, and our IT support team or student finance will endeavour to respond within 24 hours to your question, of course. So this is the support that is on hand with the University of Roehampton.
Yeah, Paul, and I'm sure that ability to have that peer interaction as a support model as well is one of the highlights of the Roehampton programs, right?
Invaluable, because if you're the kind of person that likes to network, you have great opportunities of networking with people from all positions all over the world. And it's amazing how many students actually become very good friends with their classroom students. And when you're working in business and you find someone in the same business, the sharing of ideas and knowledge and peer interaction, and the fact that what you're learning today, Pearl, you can actually implement it immediately in your job. You don't have to wait until you graduate after a year-long program. You're learning as you go and you're applying it immediately. So there's ways of looking at it that really come across as being an advantage.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Okay, so going forward, now tuition is a big question that you must get asked all the time when you're in front of people face to face. So, and it's a common concern. So, can you talk us through the payment plan that Roehampton online programs offer?
Yes. Well, the cost of all of the programs is one price of $10,000 US. And US dollars because it's the most used currency around the world, and we have students all over the world. And this includes, of course, all of your e-books, library access, your personal support. And the payment plan requires students to make a total of 9 payments over the duration of your studies, typically 29 months. So you'll be invoiced 60 days in advance of each module starting, and your payment must be received 7 days prior to term start. As you can see, 9 payments are required of $1,111 US, and you pay in advance of starting each module. So it is actually broken down into payments for them. And that is all they pay, $10,000 US, and they will not pay any more than that. It's complete, like a complete package. Very interesting indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to clarify, so that includes things like books, e-books, library access, any kind
everything
of
else.
technical...
It's straightforward, all-inclusive tuition. And this is one of the things that is very appealing to many people around the world. Many people around the world go to different universities and they find out that there's hidden costs here and there, and they wasn't aware of this, and they wasn't aware of a field trip they've got to go on, or a residency they've got to pay for. This states all-inclusive tuition, complete, one price and one price only. And they've done it in a way that makes it more affordable to people all over the globe in a way of a payment scheme that is very well done as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. So I see the Q&A is very busy with questions.
Yeah, we'll try and answer them if we can.
Yes, absolutely, Paul. So there is lots and lots of questions, so let's try and take some from the floor now. Now, Nadine was asking, are there any exemptions available for the ACCA qualification if I'm interested in the MBA? Do you need clarification on what the ACCA is?
The AACA?
No, ACCA.
ACCA?
Yeah.
For the MBA?
Yes.
Did she say? Well, that is something I've never heard of, the ACCA. Okay. This is a question I think that she can more or less present. It sounds as if it's some kind of affiliated accreditation body that is associated next to the MBAs. So maybe it's better she poses a question to the advisor, because there'll be more details that are needed and required.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if, Nadine, if you could clarify what you mean by ACCA, maybe that might help us. Okay, so then we have a question from Lavina saying, I have a BSc certificate in computer science and physics and want to do my master's in IT.
Well, with this question,
and 4 years work experience. So,
I was just going to ask, how much work experience does she have?
Yeah.
And again, well, like the lady's name is, was it? I'm sorry, the person's name?
Lavina.
Lavina. Well, we need to know more about you. These are typical questions. I hold this degree, I have this certificate, I have so much work experience. We need to know what kind of work experience. Obviously, the length of time is very important, of course. The fact that you have a bachelor's degree is fantastic. The advisor will probably be looking in to see if you have any responsibility duties in your current job. So all these things, again, we need to have a good chat with you, and that's the idea of it. With the webinar and also the information sessions, of course, we give a brief explanation of things due to the vast amount of people interested, but everyone is very different in their own way, and everyone's got their own personal background, their different certificates, universities, and of course we need to know which university and where you did your BSc, so we can check that out as well. So again, the conversation is vitally important. Come next week with the advisor when they call you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Okay, so Mercy was asking for a little bit of clarification. So she was saying, okay, was asking, is each module has a final project? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Each module will have a final project. Yes.
Okay, great. And the other question that we had a little while ago, let me just try and find it.
Was it the e-book?
Yes. No. I would like to know what scholarships or financial assistance is available for international students from Africa. So, is there any scholarships available with Roehampton programs?
Well, the person from South Africa, I'm often in South Africa, and this is one of the most popular questions I get asked, not just in South Africa, but all over the world. Do you have any scholarships? And I always say to people, what have people actually done to try and find a scholarship? There are no actual scholarships on offer, but I can actually tell you that there are millions of dollars out there in the world available for people that need money for education. Now in South Africa, you have the Nelson Mandela Trust Fund, you have the Kofi Annan Foundation Fund, and these are just two little things in South Africa that provide funding. You also have websites like grantfinder.com, and many people seek financial assistance in the way and in the form of sponsorship. They actually ask their company if they would like to sponsor their dissertation at the end of the program. And when you consider the cost of the program being $10,000 only, if we started having, it's a case of you have to realize the value and the importance of the education being provided. And again, many people seek their own financial assistance. It's a very good question, and you can also Google areas to seek scholarships and private funding as well. But as for actual scholarships, a scholarship is normally only given to a person who has got to leave their home country and go and study on a campus. And that's what a scholarship is really aimed at. And again, what you need to seek for and look for are two things: sponsorship or a grant. And bear in mind, just by typing in words trust funds, foundation funds, Nelson Mandela Foundation Fund, you'll be surprised what financial assistance is available on the web. There's many areas to seek financial assistance should you require it.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks for that advice there. I hope our listeners found that useful. Okay, so we'll touch on that ebooks question. So, yes. Only ebooks provided. Are there any ebooks provided? Can you clarify that?
Yes, well, when you look at the price of the program as well, I'm sure you can understand why ebooks are all included in the price. It's the quickest, it's the easiest method to get the books to you. When you're having to start using UPS and FedEx all over the world, and I can tell you it's not easy having things delivered in some continents around the world. Things go missing, and lots of our students, not only are they doing some of their studies in their break time through their mobile devices, you can even log into your classroom on your iPhone or on your iPad. It makes it so much more convenient to have it at your fingertips, like on a Kindle or downloaded, of course. So this is the method. You can actually buy the books yourself if that's what you prefer to do, but that's an added cost for yourself. And I do understand how people feel about e-books and traditional hard copy books. I love the feel of a book. I love turning the pages. That's me. That's my personal. But as we can see, the influx and the way technology is changing and the way e-books are now coming into play, and it's the same with the online library. We have an online library that is available, and this saves people time going out to the city library to try and find the book, look for the book. We want to make it as compact, as short as possible, and as convenient as possible as well for everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Okay, and thanks, Irna, for clarifying that the ACCA is a professional qualification for accountants. But I think we'll just reiterate what Paul said earlier, which was if you have any questions about your personal ability to study on one of our programs and your personal background and your personal work, employment background, then speak to your advisor. They are there to make sure that they give you the correct information based on your own experience. So, but thank you for clarifying there for us. Okay, so the last question I'm going to take actually is from Ahmed, and it's, is it possible if I'd like to transfer my online master's credit hours to campus masters in Roehampton? That might be a bit of a tricky question.
So you'd like to start the online and possibly go on follow on campus. Well, that wouldn't be possible, and it's quite simple to explain this, because when you do a campus study, it's normally a study that is full-time, and that means that your workload will be 10 hours a day, maybe 5 days a week, and you join a cohort of a set amount of students who have got to bond together, and they have to work together in teams. They get to know each other's backgrounds, each other's personalities. They're like a family living on campus together for 1 year only. The online education goes at a slower pace. It's broken down because 90% of our students are working professional adults, and they don't have the time to be able to do 10 hours a day like the on-campus students. So they're going at a very different pace than the online students. So if an online student went into the classroom, not only would they be at a different level or stage of the study that's already been passed, they're also not bonded into this group like they are with the classroom online students. So it doesn't really mix and match together, and that's the reason why it's different pacing, different timing, and a different group of people altogether, and a different age group as well, with less work experience on the campus school.
Okay, thanks, Paul. And there's just one more question that's just come through, and I will take this, which is how many students on average are there per class in the online program?
Well, you can expect anything from around 25 to 45 students. They say that is normally the average, maybe 45, and they feel that's enough for one professor and the support on hand to be able to give the correct feedback and to be able to deal with everything in place. So you can expect around 30 to 45 students in a classroom, approximately.
Great, thank you, Paul. And thank you all for your great questions. It's been a great discussion, and I hope you've had some clarification on the questions that you had. So, Paul, if someone's keen to go forward, if they feel like this is Roehampton is the right university and the right opportunity for them, what do they do now?
Well, your first steps are to send your CV, academic transcripts, and ID to your enrolment advisor and discuss your options. If you haven't done this yet, then why not do so right after this event, of course. And if you don't have an EA yet, well, one will contact you in the next day or so. And once your EA has received the documents, they'll help you assess your eligibility to apply and provide information and advice for you to select the right program, of course. And then, applying, of course, once you've discussed your options with your EA, chosen the start date that best suits you, you need to complete the online application form, and your advisor will send this to you, or you can also find it in the admissions section under how to apply. You send your EA your ambition statement, confirm that they have received your online application, and they will then send all your documents to the admission board on your behalf. The admission day decision, it usually takes around 2 business days to complete. And then the preparation. Well, before you can join InspireNet, you need to start your professional network and preparing yourself for your educational journey, and you'll need to complete and sign your student agreement, of course. If you have received your student's agreement but have not signed it and returned it yet, please make it a priority to do so as soon as you can. You'll then also need to ensure that you make your first payment within 4 days of returning your student's agreement in order to secure your place in your cohort and gain access so that you can start preparing, of course. And once your first payment has been paid, you're eligible to join InspireNet, where you can create a profile, start your orientation, and of course start your networking as well.
Great, Paul. And if someone's keen to start soon, when's the next start date?
Well, there are start dates every couple of months, and it's depending on the program that a person wants to do. So by asking the advisor, they'll tell you exactly all of the start dates that are available.
Great. And actually,
I do believe that the next start date is late August.
Yes, August 28th. So if you are keen, if you feel that Roehampton is the right place for you, then you can still apply for that August 28th. So just tell your advisor that's what you're keen to do, and we can make sure that you are ready and in the online classroom on that date. Okay, so there are also some added value for business students. So if you are interested in one of our business management programs, you do actually become part of the CMI Associate Membership and also the World of Business Ideas WOBE membership. So just a bit of added value there for the management students. And thank you. And if you do want to join some of our social media platforms, we are on Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. These are quite exciting communities to be part of, and if you want to keep up to date with the latest Roehampton online program news, then do go and join those communities. And a warm thank you to Paul Jones for joining us today, and as he said before, if you want to meet him in person or one of our other representatives, then do check on our website. We have an events page, and that will show you where our representatives will be next. Thank you, Paul, for your time today.
Thank you very much, Pearl, and I wish everyone the best of luck and send those applications in should you be interested.